I said what I wanna say, so don't go on playing with your little mind games. You know I tried to fall in love with ya, but couldn't keep up with ya. I hate your attitude, you should learn some gratitude. I said you drive me insane. I'm off from mine and learn how to drive on your own lane.
Hey guys, it's Specular Sam here and welcome back to another episode of Rainy Copenhagen. I'm back with my Unity gear because why not? I mean, if I have it, I have to flex it, right? So recently I started posting a bunch of more speed level design videos, which you guys seem to really enjoy. So first and foremost, thank you for all of the support. And now a lot of people have been asking for tutorials, and while I will be making more tutorials on like, you know, making a forest in 2 hours and stuff like that, which you guys seem to enjoy, I also wanted to make more dedicated topic tutorials for you know, just one purpose. So for instance, this video is going to be about grass and maybe the next video is about trees. So I want to make more, you know what I mean? Like I want to make the long-term tutorials, the speed level designs, but I also want to make these dedicated topic tutorials, which are a little shorter and that we can just link people to and be like, hey, look, you know, watch this if you're interested in only grass. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this idea, and if you have any suggestions for any topics, you can literally go wild, so just, you know, feel free to let me know what you're thinking. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm really looking forward to, you know, hear what you guys think of this video after you watch it, because this one was actually really cool. I really like this one myself as well, just promoting my own work. Last week on our Discord server, we ran a Q&A session where I made a deal with you guys that if you posted any questions, I would take the top ones, the top rated ones, and display them on the video at the end of one of my videos and then basically answer them. So that's what we're gonna do at the end of this video, so make sure you watch till the end. And if you want to become a part of the next session, next Q&A, maybe for the next video, I don't know, maybe we do this every week, I don't really know, like let me know your ideas in the comments. But if you want to become a part of it and become the cool guy who gets his, you know, questions displayed on a famous YouTube channel, make sure you join our Discord by going to the link in the description, and you can also become famous. That's right, becoming famous is as easy as posting one question. That's just all that's needed. But yes, I know you don't want to see this face, you want to see Unity editor, so we're gonna jump into that, so let's go. Alright, so here we are in Unity. I'm running Unity 2019.4, the LTS, long-term support version, and I suggest you guys to use the same, but you can also use an older or newer if you want to. I'm also running the high definition render pipeline, and we're going to talk about using HDRP versus URP, or the built-in, for making realistic grass as well. Now what I'm planning to do with this video is I'm actually trying to make it a series of videos where it's probably going to be like a YouTube playlist. And in that playlist, I'm gonna have this video, like how to make grass, realistic grass, and then how to make realistic trees, how to make realistic landscapes. So it's going to be a bunch of different topics of level design and environment art, compiled into one single playlist, which I think is a pretty cool idea. Let me know what you think. I hope you agree, because that's what's gonna happen. I ask you for your advice, but I'm also a dictator, so no, but obviously I want to hear what you think, and then my idea is that I will be able to refer people to those series of videos anytime they ask for a tutorial, but at the same time I will also make these 2-hour long tutorials, or maybe even live streams, where I make the environment together with you guys and, you know, explain every single step. But for a more detailed tutorial, I just want to link to that series. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you're thinking. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed the video. And with that being said, let's get into it. Oh, and also subscribe for more videos, because you're going to want to watch the whole series. So yeah, now let's get into the video. Cool. So now the first topic, using the HDRP, URP, or built-in render pipeline, basically the SRPs, the different SRPs, or the standard built-in render pipeline. Short answer, for the best quality, I would suggest you to go with HDRP, because there are many features that are going to be super useful, such as the subsurface scattering, which is going to determine the thickness of the grass, and make sure that the light passes through the objects. And just in general, you know, HDRP is meant to be for consoles and PC platforms or high-end platforms. So depending on what kind of assets you're planning to use, or if you're planning to create everything by yourself, first and foremost, teach me how to do that. And second of all, I think that should be easier for you if you can build a compatibility with HDRP, which is literally just making sure that the shader works, right? Topic number 2, so grass textures or grass prefabs, and which one you should be using. I get a lot of questions about that. What I have limited myself to, or the system that I've built for myself, is that I only use the grass textures in case I'm, you know, adding some grass on like a far away distance from the camera, which I don't really need to be, you know, look very good. I just basically want grass there to cover up the ground. Then I'm gonna be using the billboard textures. However, for things that I want my player to be able to move through and see and, you know, get close up to, or maybe even interact, right? I normally just rely on prefabs for that. And the reason being is that for textures, you know, it's basically just a texture with assigned ambient occlusion properties and all these values. But for a prefab, you can have an entire material set to it. Now, if you're gonna use prefabs for your grass, you're gonna need a system to paint them down as well. So what I'm using is a custom tool called Prefab Brush Plus, which is available on the Unity Asset Store, not sponsored. But I also know that the built-in tool for Unity, Polybrush, has a feature called Prefab Scattering, so you may want to try that. And you can also check out the Asset Store if you want to see more of them. I think there are some free versions as well. I believe mine costs. But yeah, I'll link everything down in the description so you guys can check it out for yourself as well. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove all of the grass that I have here. What is a terrace? Where's the terrace? Oh, this is the one? What are you doing here? As I was saying before being rudely interrupted by the terrace, we're just gonna remove all of these grass prefabs for the moment being. Actually, I'm just gonna disable them. There we go. We have a clear little subsurface scattering. I was just gonna say clear little surface here, and then it just went to subsurface scattering. I'm a technical person, what can I say? Alright, so I'm gonna do the steps that I normally do for my level design videos, the speed level design videos, and I will just basically do everything that I do there and cover up what I actually do so you guys can follow along. And I'm also going to explain the steps, so just follow along and ask me in this comment section if you have any questions. We also have a beautiful community who's going to be able to help you. Oh, and speaking of promotions, this might be just a good time to promote our Discord server. Hello, 22,000 members? What? Game dev, indie dev, anime? As you can tell, I'm not a very good promoter. But go to the link in the description and join us on Discord for more communication. So the step number 1 I always do for when I'm going to paint some grass into my scenes is that I create an empty game object here. So I just create it and call it grass prefabs. Now basically I'm going to utilize this as the parent prefab for all of the grass to live within. Number 1, it makes it easier to keep a track of all of them, and number 2, it just doesn't overflow the whole hierarchy with a bunch of objects. So then using the prefab brush tool, I go to prefab paintbrush, and again, if you're going to use a different tool, that's completely fine. It's probably going to be the same format anyway, so I'm just going to assume that you're using polybrush or whatever it is. But something that allows you to paint some, you know, grass and prefabs into your scene. So in here, as you can see, we have a field where we can drop in prefabs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop one of my, maybe this one? Yeah. So I just dropped in one of my grass prefabs in there, so it's ready to be painted into my scene. Now, what usually these tools allow you to do is, let me find the option. There it is. So it lets you set a parent game object, which you want to contain this grass prefab that you're gonna paint. So in here, I'm just going to drag in my grass prefabs game object we created just earlier. And now whatever we paint into the scene is going to be painted inside of this. Now, usually the scale of all of your prefabs you put into this are going to be set to 1 by 1. So, you know, minimum and maximum being 1. Which is the default scale. Now the thing is, when you're going to paint in your grass by default, and it doesn't matter if you're using this tool or something else, when you paint them in, it's all going to be in the same rotation and same scale, which is not bad, but it just looks all the same. It doesn't look different. There's no variety in there. So what I normally do is, number one, I set a custom rotation for each and every single prefab. And what I normally do is I tell the tool that I'm using to rotate, the minimum rotation for all axis being 0, and the maximum rotation for all axis being 0, 0 for X and Z. But for Y-axis, it's going to be 360 so that it can rotate around itself. And one more thing I do is I set the customized scale factor to either a single value, so I can just pick a minimum or maximum scale. But what I actually like doing is setting it to multi-axis and then setting the Y-axis, the height of the grass, to be something more custom. What we can do for now is set all of these axes to 0.7 as minimum and a maximum scale to 1.2 for all axes. There we go. Oh no, not 0.12. And now when we paint the grass into our scene, you can see that there is some more variety in there. It just looks more natural now. Like you can see the height playing around a little bit and you can see them clearly rotated. So one more thing that's really important for adding variety into your grass, which is super crucial by the way, just make sure you always have some variety in there, is not just the fact that you need to add more grass prefabs, which we're gonna do, but you also have to play around with the height a little bit. So what we can do is we can actually set the X and, oh my god, highlight, X and Z axis for scale to be 1 and maximum scale, keep it as 1.2. So what you want to do with these short grass is just paint around a little bit. So paint around your normal grass and make it almost feel like a transition at some parts, where it starts short and then goes up again. And don't forget, you can also go lower than this and just really add some variety here. And see, it looks really good on like a path, like right here, because it just feels like there's a transition between the short and tall grass. Now let's get to the color of this grass. So as you can see, the color is a little bit like yellowish, which is kind of the color that you're gonna get by default if you're using a prefab, because it's just gonna set to be, white color. But what I normally do is I just pick one of these LODs and then edit the healthy color to be something a little bit more green. And also this depends obviously what kind of time of day you have in your scene. So if you have a sunset, you may want to make it a little bit more yellow/orangish, but maybe do that in the dry color. But you can also set it here. As you can see, it just becomes a little bit more like hot in terms of color. Exotic. I think that's nice. And then the dry color, you normally want to have it a little bit darker and just not give it too much color, because this is the dry part, right? I think this is a little too dark for my taste, but I'm just gonna leave it for now and then we can come back to it later if we want to. But these are basically all values you should be playing around with, depending on the type of grass you're using, the time of day of your sky, and all that stuff. Oh, and also speaking of LODs, these grass prefabs normally do come with LODs. And it depends on the asset you're using, obviously, but almost all asset authors nowadays use the LOD system, which is level of detail. I have it turned off for now because I just don't need it, right? I don't need the optimization or the performance that I'm gonna get by using LOD, because I just want to show you guys the quality in its raw, pure form. But obviously for a large scene or any scene where I want my player to be able to walk around, I will be using LOD, so you should definitely look into this as well. Now, when you add a new directional light into your scene, basically the sun, it's not going to have the shadows turned on. And now the thing is, when you look at this, you go like, well, how much difference does it make? But when you turn off the shadows, it really makes a big difference. So make sure you have the shadow map turned on. Set it to ultra resolution if you can. I'm just gonna flex my PC and say that I can. And contact shadows are also pretty important, so make sure you turn them on to high as well. And speaking of shadows, what I normally do is I actually extend my ability to edit the shadows in Unity, which it sounds cool, but basically what I do is I'm normally using the sky and fog volume game object in my scene, which obviously HDRP depends on volume framework. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you watch the other video on my channel, which is linked in the description, which will tell you everything about the volume framework, and I mean everything. So what I normally do in here is I add the shadows override, which lets us decide the maximum distance and a bunch more shadows options in here. I also like to turn on the micro shadows, but obviously this is way too dark for my taste, so let's go ahead and lower the opacity. And then one more thing that I do for shadows is I add an ambient occlusion into my scene, which is a post-processing effect, and it's also within the volume framework in Unity with HDRP. So I'm just gonna turn on my effect that I have preset here, but basically in this effect you have a bunch of different options including intensity, direct lighting, strength, radius, quality, maximum radius, and stuff like that. So what I normally do is I set the intensity to be around 1 or 2. 4 is obviously way too much. This is too much. And 3 I feel like is not very different from 4, so I normally set it to be like 1.1, 1.5, or 2 as maximum. So let's go ahead and set it to 2 for now. And also one more really important thing is that the ambient occlusion is going to affect everything else in your scene as well. So if you have like, you know, a house, you're gonna see a lot of shadows in the corners as well if you have it like to, you know, set to 4. So instead of setting this to 4 just to get the darkness in the grass that you want to have, I would suggest you to just increase the radius and also, you know, add some shadows through the sky and fog volume. Also make sure you have the full resolution turned on so you can actually see all of the shadows here. This is also quite important, so when you actually get close to the grass, you will see that the shadows appear way darker, so you know you may want to just change the intensity a little bit depending on how dark you actually want it. And also for shadows, well, important for shadows is one more thing, which is called indirect lighting, which is also part of the volume framework. So I believe this was in my sky and fog volume. Yes, I was right. So indirect lighting controller basically lets you control the indirect lighting. Wow, Sam, I would never have believed that. What's important to keep in mind is that the indirect specular intensity is also going to change the intensity of like reflections and stuff in your scene. So you may want to, you know, modify the values more carefully depending on the type of level you have. But normally what I play around with is, or what I do is I set the indirect specular intensity to 2 just to, you know, get those reflections out there, and then set the indirect diffuse intensity to like 1.5, somewhere between 1, which is the default value, 1.5, and 2, just like the other value. Because if we increase this too much, you see the grass shine as well, but you know, the same thing happens with the ground. So if you feel like your grass is looking too dark like I do right now, which I'm not gonna edit because whatever, but if you do, you know, you can always go ahead and edit the color of the grass instead. And let me say this, the color of the grass makes a big difference. I mean, just don't think of it as like, oh, I can set it to like red and, you know, yellow or whatever, but you can literally change the tint of your scene by changing the color of the grass. The grass really is the one that sets the mood. Because that's what's receiving all of the lighting from the sky. So if you have a bit of a sunset, you need to have some kind of sunset effect on the grass as well. And you can best achieve it through the color properties. One more thing that I find really important is anti-aliasing. So if I go to my camera, in here you can see that I have the temporal anti-aliasing, or TAA, set as the default one. Now, I know a lot of people use subpixel morphological, oh my god, I actually said it, the SMAA option, which is not bad, but it's just not, I mean, it's, you know, it's a high performant one, but it's not the best quality. TAA, so far as I've tried, gives me the best quality, and you can obviously, you know, set a custom sharpening effect here as well. But I just kind of keep it at this value because that's what's been working out well for me so far. But basically, my point is, if you don't have any anti-aliasing, you can really see that, let me maximize, you can really see that it becomes very sharp, and I don't really like this kind of effect. When we have it turned on, you can see that it's a little more smooth around the edges of the grass blades, which is really important because here you're actually, you know, dealing with singular grass blades and you really want them to stick out. But you also want them to feel like a part of the scene, so it doesn't look like, you know, everything is sharp and can cut you at any time. Now here's one more thing that I very often play around with. So if we go to one of the grasses here, I'm gonna pick this one, and browse down into the material field, you're gonna see an option called double-sided. Now this is actually a very good feature, and sometimes I even use this with my grass, which I think I can even use it here. So if we turn this on, you're gonna see a couple things. First and foremost, the grass becomes darker. Second of all, the grass becomes more dense, because now the grass that are not being rendered because the backside is facing the camera are actually being rendered because they're just being mirrored. Now the darkening might scare you a little bit, but what you can really do is you can just edit the dry color a little bit, so you can just make sure that it's not too dark with the dry color, and then edit the healthy color a little bit as well, just to, you know, have a color that fits well with the darkened parts. I think actually this looks pretty good. In some cases, with some grass, if you have the double-sided and mirror option turned on, you're gonna have very dark back-facing objects, and in which case you may either want to turn it off if you can't seem to figure it out, you know, via the colors. But in most cases, you should be able to just modify the colors a little bit, and you should have a very good looking grass. And also just overall, I mean, the density adds a lot. Like if we disable and re-enable, you can see how much dense, especially at the bottoms, it becomes, and I really like that. Oh, and of course, because of the density, you may even want to change your ambient occlusion settings and all that kind of stuff, so, you know, be careful with all that. As you can see, I also have a reflection probe in my scene, and the reason why is actually because I like using reflection probes for, you know, obviously reflective areas, but also for grass and vegetation and all that stuff. It just adds a bit of a nice illumination depending on the type of light you have in your scene. So for instance, if I just rotate my light a little bit like this, and then, you know, really create this sunset effect, I'm just gonna change the intensity a little bit for this light, and then just make it a little more hot. And then we bake after editing the whole, you know, scene settings, we bake the reflection probe. It makes the ground look nicer, and that way the shadows become much more clear. And obviously it doesn't add a real reflection effect to the grass, which we obviously wouldn't want, but it just makes the colors a little more lively. And again, remember, I was talking about if you have a sunset scene like this, you may even want to edit the color of the grass. So if we just pick one of these, I'm going to exaggerate a little bit here because that's normally what I do in my level design videos. But really what you could do is you could even set a dry color, which is a little more, you know, exotic, like orangish, or you could leave the dry color to be where it normally is, and then just set the healthy color to be a bit more yellow. And again, I'm just, you know, over exaggerating a bit here, but that's what you have to do when you're actually designing something, because that's how you get to nice effects, you know. If you want results, I feel like you have to go crazy a little bit every now and then and just explore the options that, you know, you have through the game engine. And obviously when we add more grass in here, it's going to look better, but I will probably just cut the video short. This video is probably going to be a little long, but I just wanted to cover up every single step that I take for, you know, adding realistic grass into my scenes, because I think the grass, given that the grass is most likely going to be the most visible object because of its density, right? You're just going to have a bunch of grass. Because of that, the color, the way it receives the color, the way it casts the shadow, like everything just matters too much. So you really have to, I mean, it's worth spending a lot more time on making sure that the grass looks good than actually editing the materials on an object like a house. Because the grass is really what's going to set the vibe for the scene. I mean, if your grass looks bad and the house you have or the trees you have in your scene are photorealistic, it's not really going to matter because the grass is going to cover up the whole ground. Whereas the tree and the house are just going to cover up a, you know, maybe even a big portion, but a portion of the scene, whereas grass is going to be everywhere. So I like grass. I'm sure you've been able to tell by now. I think this looks pretty good. I think the colors are very natural. It feels like it fits within the scene. It feels like the sun is hitting it in the right way. I like it so far. Alright, so that is pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed and had a lot of fun watching this. I actually really like this episode of how to make level. I don't know what I'm gonna call this playlist or this show series of videos, but I don't even know if we should turn it into series. Like, let me know your thoughts and ideas in the comment section, because I really want to know what you think we should do with this. Now, you know what time it is. Don't lie. I know you've been waiting for this. I hope you have been waiting for this because I'm gonna spend a lot of time editing this Q&A. Woo! Let's go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm recording my Discord as well, I believe. Hopefully I am. And I'm just gonna read these one by one. We'll go through the list very quickly, so I'm not gonna spend too much time. First one for my admin. Wow, really? First one for my admin. Are you using your admin privileges for something like this? Are you happy you started your YouTube career, or is there something else you would have preferred to pursue but never ended up happening? I used to be a very competitive mindset karate fighter. I've been training martial arts since I was 8 years old, so I kind of wanted to actually go for a career in that, but karate is not big enough to really sustain you for a career unless you go like the social media route, which I'm really doing right now. No, but I'm really happy that I started my YouTube career. One of the dream goals that I've always had since I was a little kid was to run a community or become a part of the community. And you know, I feel like I've been able to accomplish that goal here, and I keep accomplishing it every day, which is really cool. How old are you? 23 now. I'm getting old, man. When will you dab? Remember the promise. I used to promise that I would dab at 100k subs. But let's say I'm gonna dab at 300,000 subs. Write that down. It's in the video now. If I don't, you can probably sue me because now it's in a video. Is water wet? Yes, I love this community, by the way. When did you start making games? When I was 12. How to become rich? I don't know. When you figure that out, let me know though. How much % of your time do you spend on marketing for game projects? Well, nowadays I don't really make any games, but I used to spend a lot of time for that. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do a lot of YouTube, on top of the fact that I wanted to build a community and I wanted to make tutorials and stuff for Saiku, was to actually do marketing. What do you prefer, milk or orange juice? In reality, orange juice is life, but I'm friends with Danny and I know that he's gonna hate me if I say that I like orange juice over milk, so milk every freaking day. Do you have any pets? No, actually, I really want to get one though, especially now that I live alone. But I travel too much for work, which is probably one of the problems and the biggest reason why I'm not getting one, but maybe a cat. I don't know. What inspired you to start Unity? The fact that it was free for like, holy crap, it's been 11 years since I was 12. I was gonna say 10 years ago, but I'm now 23, so it's been 11 years. But yeah, it was the only free engine around that time. Well, only free engine that was capable of doing the things that it was capable of doing. So I just started using Unity. How do you play Crusader Kings 2 for 4 days straight? It's the only game where, I can say this, it's the only game where you can start a kingdom, an entire kingdom, by marrying your own daughter. That sounds really weird out of context, but it's a super fun game. It's an incredible game. You should really play it if you haven't been yet. And September 1st is the release date of Crusader Kings 3. So, don't expect too many videos in September. That's all I'm gonna say. Do you know how to dance? No, but I actually watch a lot of dance videos on YouTube. It's called, god damn it, I forgot the name. These people I watch quite a lot of, actually. It's unhealthy at this point. These are really good. It's like Unity and Diversity, by the way. That's the name. Unity, there you go. Yeah, these folks are just incredible. But I can absolutely not dance. Do you ever sleep? Like, ever? I used to sleep really badly, I mean really poorly, and now I have a good sleep schedule where I basically just force myself only to sleep. Basically, here's the thing, the way my brain functions is that I can only sleep for 5 hours. It does not matter if I didn't sleep the night before. Like one of the nights in 2 weeks ago, I didn't sleep one night, so I just pulled an all-nighter. And then I go to bed at 7 p.m. thinking, hey, I'm gonna go to bed 7 p.m. I'm gonna sleep for like 10 hours and I'm gonna be up by like 6, 7, 8 a.m. or whatever the time is. I wake up after 5 hours. It's 12 a.m. What do you do on a 12 a.m.? Well, I went out, drove my car, got tired, got home, slept again, slept 5 hours, and my brain automatically wakes me up. That's how crazy it is. Dogs or cats? Favorite pet, cat or dog? Dog, I'm sorry, dog. Cat people, I'm sorry, but I love cats too. I love animals. I love pets. It could be a bird. Like, I could die just of the cuteness. How long does it take for you to cringe at an old work? I can't watch my videos from 6 months ago. I'm not kidding, like not even a year, just 6 months ago, which is a good thing. I used to think of it negatively, like, oh, you know, how did I put this online? For literally like every single video content that I've ever put. But that just means you're improving, so I think it's a good thing. Linux gaming when? Oh my god, don't even start it. Do you snore? I live alone, so I don't really know, but I don't think so. I've never heard anything from anybody. No, I don't think so. I hope not. Do you have a Dakimakura? Would you do a Unity Chan Dakimakura giveaway? What is a Dakimakura? Alright, that is pretty much it. Hope you guys had some fun with this Q&A session. I think it was a pretty fun, you know, little twist at the end of the video. Maybe we can do this more often. Maybe we can do it with every video. I don't really know. Let me know in the comment section how you like it. With that being said, it's getting warm again. I need to turn my fan on. It's raining outside, so I don't know why it's getting warm again. But yeah, so I just need to go and take probably a shower. And you know, just chill for the rest of the day. But I'm going to be super active in the comment section in our Discord server, so I hope to see you guys there. Have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up, leave a like, and subscribe. This is gonna keep going. Thank you for watching. Have a good one and peace out. Bye bye, guys.